PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, it might be a misnomer in some ways because not all women that have a lot of the symptoms will have really polycystic, which poly means many, cystic, like bumps, literally. Polycystic, they won't have that. They won't present as that physically. So, but they'll have the symptoms of irregular cycles, you know, maybe some hair growth, because a lot of the women have high DHEA, high testosterone, so higher androgens. The biggest thing is that the women aren't cycling at all, or at least they're really irregular. That's the biggest one for polycystic, for PCOS when I think about it. So since this is PCOS Education Month, that's why we're going to have a couple podcasts on it this week. And one thing I want to reiterate is that PCOS is a metabolic disease. Do you want to go into that, Janet?
I do. Most women, not all, because there are outliers. The doctor that was going to join us today was an outlier. That wasn't her story, because we can have thin people that have PCOS, but a lot of times it is actually women that are overweight. And so when we talk about metabolic issues, we're usually talking about you know, too much weight,
insulin resistance,
and it's fed, of course, because we don't treat it very good in our country. We kind of don't understand it in the traditional sense of our standard, in our country standard of care. And so we don't usually address it with diet. And diet is absolutely one of the biggest tools that we have to address it, even if we are skinny thin, because if we are resistant to insulin, it just feeds that estrogen dominance issue and pushes those hormones that we don't want over the person's body into places that we don't want. So it's an imbalance that way. And sugar, as far as our processed diet that we have in the United States, where, you know, everything that we have that comes from a box or from a chain burger place, or, you know, any fast food, we're just going to feed the hunger of this disease. So metabolically, it's very inflamed. So that means that it just feeds the pain, the discomfort, the overall sense of not feeling well.
And like most diseases, most chronic diseases that we have in the United States, and Jen and I talk about it quite often, the metabolic type diseases, which most chronic disease is a metabolic disease, which means that you can change it with diet.
Yep.
And Jen already talked about some of the things not to eat, like fast food and box foods. And really what you want to eat is you want to focus on protein, real protein, you know, so real meat sources, just real food in general, and you'll be much better off.